Don't forget to click the share button.
All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Free. I'm Ryan, and I'm the pastor here, and we are a community for addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees, people who have been kicked around by religion. They've been told they don't belong with God. Here you belong. We're glad you're here tonight. If you're joining us online, we're glad you're with us as well, even if it's not tonight, even if it's later in the week. You all are part of this community as much as the people here and me as part of the community. So we're glad you're here, glad you're tuning in. Welcome to Free. A few things y'all might want to know about. Y'all check this out. So we threw out the Enneagram info and y'all responded. We have 80 people signed up for the 5 weeks of Enneagram. Raise your hand if you're part of that. Yeah, it's going to be good stuff. So 80 people were clearly going to be meeting in this room. And that starts this Tuesday. What time do we start? 6:30. There's childcare provided, but signups are over. You can't sign up anymore, so I don't even know why I'm giving you all details. Other than it's cool that 80 people are going to journey through getting to know themselves better. That's pretty cool. So thank you all for signing up. It's going to be lots of fun. 5 weeks. Hey, right after the service tonight, Aurora Sober Living, y'all, are y'all in the house tonight? Some of y'all are here. There you go. We're having the after party. It's going to happen right after the service. Stick around. Games, pizza, fun, ping pong. Y'all know how we do it around here. This is in partnership with Aurora Sober Living, so it's good to have you all with us tonight. And stick around. How late are we going tonight? We're camping out. It's going to be awesome. All right. Hey, I want y'all to hear from Alyssa. Is Alyssa in here? There she is. Come on up, Alyssa. Alyssa Zetek is our Director of Free Kids and Family Empowerment. And she was telling our staff a story this week, and I said, Alyssa, you got to share that with the people here, because sometimes I think people just think we're doing childcare back there, and you're doing like spiritual formation with an emphasis in recovery, and it's so cool what our kids get to be a part of here. So I want you all to hear a minute from Alyssa.
Thanks, Ryan. This is such a good-looking group. I don't get to see them often. So last week, we were diving into the word that Noel so awesomely brought. We were talking about Jacob and how he was wrestling with God, and when we were talking about that story, one of the kids spoke up and said, well, Miss A, you can't wrestle with God. You can't be angry at God. And I paused and I said, whoa, the first time I was angry at God, guys, I was 5 years old. So my sister was just diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and I was angry at God because I didn't understand why she was sick. And I said, throughout the years, I've been angry at God many times. I said, in fact, I was a teenager. I was in high school when I was angry that I found out my loved ones were alcoholics. And then this little one, it was his first week here, and he perked up and he looked at me and he says, did you just say alcoholics? He's like, my mom and her boyfriends and things like that, they're all alcoholics. And, he was going through this story of just grief in his life about how he has been affected. And it was such a neat moment, because in that moment, guys, we got to share about how we were loved ones of addicts. And we had something in common in that room. And these are 5-year-olds to 12-year-olds. So we're having real conversations. We're talking about God. We're talking about who he is in our lives. We're talking about recovery. And this week I'm so excited because we get to talk about recovery in a real way. So I was going to bring a book up that I have. It's called Addie's Mom is Not Home Anymore. And it's talking about Addie's mom going to recovery programs. And so we're going to be reading that tonight in the back. Some really great things happening, guys. We have childcare for the little ones with amazing volunteers. And then we also have our classroom time that is really super intentional. So we will have another volunteer training coming up in February. So keep your eyes open. We would love to have you and your experiences. And if you think that you've disqualified yourself with your past from volunteering, I want to tell you you're wrong, that your past qualifies you in the best ways to speak into the lives of these kids. So thanks.
Thank you, Alyssa. Thank you, Alyssa. Hey, so just so y'all know, we're in this new series we started last week. Noel kicked us off. Did Noel not do a great job last week? Thank you, Noel. So she kicked us off in this series. It's called What We Stand For. And I just can't stress the importance enough for y'all. I hope you memorize the 4 signs we have hanging in here. These are the things we stand for. So last week we started with authenticity. This week, we're going to move to recovery, and then why we don't do shame, and then new life. These are the 4, chorused values we have here. So I hope you learn these. I hope you hold on to them. I hope you can tell your friends about what you in this community stand for, what we stand for together. So tonight is recovery, and Danny Colella put together a little video for us. Check it out. Yeah, good stuff, huh? Recovery. My recovery is worth it. One day at a time, I will focus on putting my recovery first so that everything I love doesn't come last. That's tonight. But before we get into recovery, the way we start here at Free, if you're new with us this evening, hey, by the way, there's some more chairs in the corner if some of you old-timers can help get some. You got it, Danny? Okay, cool. Thanks. Oh, welcome bags. Dang, I knew I was going to forget something. Tammy my wife put together these welcome bags for us. They are out on the table just outside these doors. If you're new with us this evening, these welcome bags are for you. They have information about who we are in here. There's a bracelet in there. There's a bag of freshly roasted coffee for you because she roasts coffee. It's called Wagon Coffee, and it's served here. She roasts in the back room. You can see it one day, maybe tonight when you're on your way out. Anyway, there's fresh roasted coffee in here just for you, so grab a welcome bag if you're new with us this evening. The way we start here is by celebrating together. We celebrate the good stuff, the new things, the sobriety dates, the whatever the new thing is in your life, whether it's a new job, a new relationship, a new baby being born. We celebrate that stuff here. So what we do is take 3 minutes in the house and online. You'll get 3 minutes. If you're online, give us the celebration in the comments, and we will celebrate with you when we come back. And yeah, it's a time to get kind of vulnerable with each other. Let people into your life. Like, God is celebrating this stuff with us, and there's so much good that happens when we do this work together. So take 3 minutes. My boy Derek, where's Derek? Derek's going to pass around the mic. He's got it in the back, so just stick up your hand, and you can say what you're celebrating. And if you're the type that really doesn't want to talk out loud, you kind of got this fear of public speaking, jump on the Facebook or YouTube and put it in there. Drop it in the comments. All right, let's take 3 minutes.
Hello world, wake me up to another good morning, time to go. Got that smile upon my face, 'cause there's excitement in the chase, this I know. Yeah, I'm going for the ride, and find myself, I am alive, and I soar. Still I run towards the wind, and let the challenge draw me in, 'cause I want more. Oh, we are all looking for adventure. We are all looking for adventure. We are all looking for adventure. We are all looking free, and I was meant to be. I'm living free, living free.
Celebrate those getting up again and trying again.
Man, y'all, you gonna come up? Let me get this for Tammy Canada. You might have to turn it on. Man, they don't get to celebrate with us online, but we had so many good celebrations here tonight.
There's a lot of celebrations.
A lot of, like we just clapped for the last 6 minutes.
Well, we have our personal ones too.
We do?
Well, we celebrated you last week in your 9 years, which was big.
That's true.
It's good to do it in person with y'all. And we had a new baby nephew born this week.
We
so,
did?
Yeah. My sister had her 4th baby. She's caught up to us.
Is it a competition?
No, we're done.
Are you sure? Yeah, we're done. That was a joke, y'all. All right, let's get to celebrate. Sure. You want to get on this side
we
of
need
me?
to switch?
I do.
Okay.
I'm a man of habit.
I can see better on this
Okay,
side.
there you go. All right, you take the first one.
Okay. Jamie, they just had a baby too.
Mm-hmm.
Baby Jackson is almost a month old, and we are all doing well. It is awesome to see how God has moved and what wonderful daddy that Ricky is. Thank God for recovery.
Yeah, good stuff, Jamie and Ricky. Love y'all.
Y'all.
Yes. All right, Kristen Williams says, Free Spiritual Community, thank you. Wouldn't miss the opportunity to let God in and better myself. Well, Kristen, we're glad you're with us tonight. We're going to celebrate that.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Hey, Rain Waters. Baby Peyton rolled over for the first time and held her head in tummy time. That's a big deal. Yeah, she's growing so strong.
Man, that's awesome. Way to go, Lindsay and Jeremy and baby Peyton.
Baby P.
So cool. Mike Anderson says, grateful for sobriety and all the gifts it gives me. And last Saturday, I got to have a day with just my grandson, monster trucks, and dinner. That's the good
nice.
gifts of
That's
sobriety.
perfect.
Way to go, brother.
Hey, Julie. She says, celebrating my first meeting with a new group, Moms Against Grieving Alone. Look forward to the ongoing support. That sounds like a big gift. I love that.
Thanks for sharing that with us, Julie. Do we have any more? One more? Let's do one more. Christy says, thankful the Canada family is all recovered and healthy. So
too.
are we. It's good to be back with y'all. Thank you, Christy.
Yes. It was a bit of a rough week, so we are grateful to be here.
Yeah, it was a rough week. It is good to be back. Anything you want to add?
I just saw it was Jen's birthday that Saman put on there. Ben's birthday.
Happy
Awesome.
birthday,
Happy
Ben.
birthday.
Thank you for joining me up here. You want to put that on the couch? It's always good to have Tammy Canada up here, isn't it? Yes, it is. All right, y'all, so we're going to jump into some recovery stuff. And then a guest storyteller, Daniel Hohnstein, is in the house tonight. Here's the series video in case you missed it last week. Take a look. We created Free because someone had to stand for the addicts and loved ones of addicts who were suffering in silence, for the spiritual refugees who didn't have a place of belonging. A traditional church model doesn't create space for the conversations we know have to be had. Free is standing with those who are barely hanging on, who are longing for something new. Free is bridging the gap between spirituality and recovery. In this place, God meets us exactly where we are. This is what we stand for. Any Justin Furstenfeld fans in the house tonight? Yes, let me tell you a little bit about Justin Furstenfeld for those of you that don't know him. You need to get to know him. He's the lead singer of Blue October. He is this prolific and profound singer-songwriter. His lyrics center on recovery. He's in recovery. And so a couple of years ago, Tammy got me a Christmas present that was tickets to go see him live. And he's telling this story. So he does these songs, and then in between each song, he'll tell some of his recovery story. And he was telling us this story about what it was like to be 60 days clean and sober, and he was in rehab. And he said, when I got to rehab, they told me that I had to admit my life was unmanageable and that I was powerless against this. And then he said that was fine, I could do that, but then they told me I had to find a higher power, and that higher power couldn't be me. It had to be greater than me. And he said on day 60, I went outside. I got up before everyone else, got up early that morning, and I went out on the back patio to do some business with God. And he says I was so pissed off because all these people around me were having these spiritual experiences, and they were experiencing God, and God was in their lives, and for me, there was nothing. So I went out to the back patio to do business with the big man. And he was so angry. He said, God, I'm a simple man. I've drank too much. I've done too many drugs. I just need you to reveal yourself in very simple ways. And God, if you're real, I want you to catch that bush on fire. And nothing. He says, nothing. He said, God, I just need you to come into my life and make it really simple. God, if you're real, then that squirrel that's staring at me in that tree that I'm so pissed off with, can you make that squirrel jump from that tree to that tree? And there was nothing. And about this time, he says, this bee started buzzing around my head. Bzzz. And he's getting more and more angry at this bee because he's trying to do business with God, and this bee is distracting him from doing business with God. And he's getting so angry at this bee, and it's loud. Bzzz. And in the corner of the porch, there was this can that literally said the words bee killer on it. And this bee moves from buzzing around his head to then buzzing towards this can and bumping up against the can. Bzzz, bzzz, bzzz. And then he says the bee starts to dance on the top of this can. Bzzz. And he literally says out loud to this bee, you stupid bee. How could you be so stupid? You see all your homies go in there and they don't come out. And y'all, when he was telling this story, you could hear a pin drop. He says, God, is that how simple you are? You mean I don't have to go back in there? He says now when he works with other people and they struggle with sobriety and trying to find God, he says, oh, don't you worry about it. I found my higher power literally in a bee killer can. And see, recovery, it can all be pretty disorienting, can it? Especially those early days in recovery, it can be really disorienting. Man, I'll never forget the early days of recovery. I'll never forget that day, January 7th, 2013. Man, recovery didn't feel good. Surrendering didn't feel good. Man, I'll never forget when Tammy, my wife, and some of y'all know the story on that day, January 7th. It was a Monday morning. She came down the stairs. I was passed out drunk on the couch again. She was a normal person just going to work. And so I jump off the couch, and she's standing at the stairs with another empty liquor bottle. And this time, tears were coming down her face, and she said, what are we going to do? Man, recovery didn't feel good. Man, I remember it felt like being in a pit, and I didn't know how to climb out. And I don't know about y'all, but I hate to see my wife cry, especially when I'm the cause of it. And recovery didn't feel good. Lots and lots of fear in those early days about people knowing me and knowing the real me. Lots of fear about how to get honest with people. How do you guys do that? How do you just open yourselves and open your heart to who you really are and the things you've really done? And lots of fear around, is this thing going to work? Because I've tried so many times and I've tried so many other methods and it never works. Is this time going to work? And the fear around facing the things that I was so ashamed of. Admitting to myself and to other people that I wasn't a fit pops. Because let's be honest, good fathers don't put their 2-year-old baby girls in the crib and hope for them to fall asleep. And when they do fall asleep, leave the house with them alone in the house so that they can go get drunk. That's not what good fathers do. And the fear of having those old conceptions of God crumbling. and being a pastor and having these old conceptions of God crumble and trying to figure out my faith again while I'm a pastor, while I'm getting paid to talk to people about who God is and try to lead people to God. And the fear of figuring out what it looks like to like myself again. And see, what I can tell you is, in my experience, recovery in its simplest form is about a life of reorientation. You see, having a renewed life, a restored life, internally and sometimes external things, well, it's all a great gift, isn't it? Not a privilege, but a gift that's given. And see, what I know is that disorientation led to reorientation. And a life of reorientation, it always comes as a great surprise, doesn't it? Because you can't exactly plan for this stuff. I mean, if someone would have come up to me and told me 9 years ago that, hey, by the way, Ryan, fast forward your life 9 years, you are going to be pastoring a community, leading a community, and this community is going to center on addiction and recovery, and this community is going to be filled with addicts and loved ones of addicts and spiritual refugees, I would have said, you're crazy. You don't know how I drink. You don't know my addiction. Gift. Tell you another gift. The fact that I get to have a marriage today that's not perfect, but where my wife and I can actually enjoy being with one another, and where she trusts me and I trust her, where we trust one another. Gift. Not getting stuck in my past and replaying the tape over and over, but instead allowing my past to fuel the present, to help other people. Gift. Discovering that it is indeed possible to trust God, to trust that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. And that's not just a past thing, that's a present thing, that God is still doing for me what I could not do for myself. The idea that I could find an inner peace, to like myself, to be content, to, when I look in the mirror, like the person that I see. Gift, gift, gift. And see, today I know this to be true. My recovery is worth it. One day at a time, putting my recovery first so that everything I love doesn't come last. So what I want to do with y'all for just a moment, or in just a moment, I want to look at a psalm with you. We've looked at some of the Psalms in here before. Now keep in mind, the Psalms are this ancient collection of poems and prayers. In fact, the Psalms are found in the Old Testament, or what's called the Hebrew Bible. If you were to take a Bible and just open it right to the middle, you would most likely land in the Psalms. Now, the Psalms, biblical scholars split these Psalms up. There's 150 of them, by the way, and it's some of the most honest and raw material we can get our hands on. And biblical scholars split them up in three categories: Psalms of orientation, Psalms of disorientation, and Psalms of reorientation. And I think y'all are going to find this psalm fascinating. It's a psalm of reorientation, and Psalms of reorientation, they always do three things. First, Psalms of reorientation recall the past, but they never stay in the past. Number two, they come to the sudden realization that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. And three, the experience of new life always comes as a surprise, and it evokes the deepest sense of gratitude. Are you with me? But before we get to the psalm, I want to invite you all to take a moment and close your eyes. Yeah, go ahead, close your eyes. And I want you to think back to a time in your life where you felt completely disoriented. Man, you were in a pit. You didn't know which way was up, which way was down. For those of you in recovery, think back to your earliest days in recovery, and if you're there right now, that's good. Good. What did it feel like? Was it painful? Was it scary? Were there losses involved? What did it feel like? You can open your eyes. You know, Walter Brueggemann, he's an Old Testament scholar, and he's done a lot of work in these Psalms. And here's what he says. A place of disorientation in which we feel we have sunk into a pit. It happens when our world collapses. Life as we know it has changed in some way. Life feels unsettling, scary, unpredictable. Sound like recovery? Sound like surrendering? You see, because the truth is, when you were stuck in your addiction, whatever that addiction was, even if it was being addicted to the addict in your life, when you were stuck in that place, life wasn't really changing, was it? I mean, you by and large knew what to expect. Today is going to be the same as it was yesterday. Your world wasn't really collapsing. I know it felt like it was sometimes, but it wasn't really collapsing because you still had that crutch. But see, disorientation happens the moment you surrender. Disorientation happens the moment you choose recovery. Then your world as you know it collapses. And my brothers and sisters, it must collapse. It has to collapse because you are no longer relying on your own sources. Those have failed you. You are being introduced to a new source. And when that happens, life is then scary, unsettling, unpredictable. And my friends, God is in that place. Embrace that place. If you want to get to reorientation, you first have to go through the disorientation. Do you remember the messy middle from a few weeks ago? If you want to get to the good stuff, you first have to go right through the hard stuff. So are y'all ready to check out the Psalm? Psalm 30. I think you're going to love this one. Psalm 30. Let's read it together, can we? Psalm 30, the psalmist cries out, I exalt you, Lord, because you pulled me up. You didn't let my enemies celebrate over me. Lord, my God, I cried out to you for help and you healed me. Lord, you brought me from the grave, brought me back to life from among those going down to the pit. And by the way, this is a huge heads up that this is a story, a psalm of reorientation. I've been brought to new life. Something has happened, and I'm going to tell you about it. He keeps going. You who are faithful to the Lord, sing praises to him. Give thanks to his holy name. His anger lasts only for a second, but his favor lasts a lifetime. Weeping may stay all night, but by morning, joy. Do you see how the psalmist recalls the past, but doesn't stay in the past? And y'all know how easy it is to get stuck in the past. He goes again. When I was comfortable, see if y'all can relate to this. When I was comfortable, I said, I will never stumble. I will never drink again. How many of y'all have slipped into that mess of a thinking? You lost sight of your recovery. Yeah, that's a lot of hands. I did it too. I went through the relapse. You lost sight of your recovery. You thought you were doing it on your own. You said, I'm good. You lost sight of the one who was keeping you sober. Verse 7, because it pleased you, Lord. You made me a strong mountain, but then you hid your presence. I was terrified. I cried out to you, Lord. I begged my Lord for mercy. What is to be gained by my spilled blood, by my going down in the pit? Does dust thank you the way I can thank you? Does it proclaim your faithfulness the way I can as a human? Lord, listen and have mercy on me. Lord, be my helper. You changed my mourning into dancing. You took off my funeral clothes and dressed me up in joy. Do you see how he's telling the story of reorientation? Ego and pride, they creep in a little bit. And then the whole thing starts to fall apart. And then he knows that it wasn't him, but it was God who brought him to this place of new life, because God always does the restoring, the renewing, the rescuing, the recovering. It's that moment when you realize that God is doing for you what you could not do for yourself. And how does he close this poem or prayer? So that my whole being might sing praises to you and never stop. Lord, my God, I will give you thanks forever. You see the surprise of new life. Some of y'all have been there. It evokes the deepest sense of gratitude. Have you experienced this? I mean, is this psalm your story? I mean, haven't you had those moments where you were in a pit? Man, you didn't know how to climb out. You tried so many times, it didn't work. You were disoriented. You were afraid. And yet at some point, a new day emerged. And when it did, you were overwhelmed with this sense of gratitude. And you were able to look back and say, man, God did this. I didn't do it. Trust me, I tried to do it. I couldn't do it. God did this. Those moments when you came to the realization that God was doing for you what you could not do for yourself, those moments where you could give God thanks forever, that overwhelming sense of gratitude. Man, y'all, we've got to tell this story. We've got to tell the story of recovery, the story of reorientation, because y'all know the world is desperate for it. And see, I know it can be hard. In fact, even saying the words, tell your story, for some of you, your hands start to get sweaty. Your stomach starts to churn. You're like, who, me tell my story? Me tell the story of reorientation? I don't have a very good story. I have lots of messy parts of my story. Y'all, we've got to tell this story even when you're most afraid. Do y'all know our 8-year-old daughter, Shiloh? She is deathly afraid of spiders. Deathly afraid. So check this out. One morning last week, Tammy was in the shower. I was getting ready. I was lacing up my boots. Shiloh was getting ready for school in her bedroom, and I hear this blood-curdling scream come from across the way. So I run into Shiloh's room. I said, Shiloh, what's wrong? Are you okay, baby? What's going on? She says, Poppy, there is a spider hanging from my closet door, and if that thing falls, we're all gonna die. And she's crying, and I'm looking at her closet. I said, baby, I don't see this spider. Where's this spider? She said, Poppy, it's right there. And if it falls, we're all gonna die. I'm wiping my eyes. I focus in. And y'all, I am not kidding you. From her closet was hanging the spider the size of a half a grain of rice. I said, baby, is this the spider you're talking about? Yeah, that's it. I don't like spiders either, but I went up to this spider and I was literally able to grab it with my thumb and my index finger. And then I took that spider the size of a half a grain of rice, and then I brought it to the toilet and I flushed it. Sorry if that offends you. I was trying to protect my 8-year-old daughter. And man, we hear a story like that and we say, man, what an unreasonable fear. A spider that big, it's unreasonable. It's exaggerated. Yeah, and sometimes we're all a bunch of 8-year-olds walking around fearing things that are the size of a half a grain of rice. Is it true? Sometimes life feels exactly like that, doesn't it? This is exactly how it felt. The moment, the time in my life when I shared my recovery story for the first time in front of people. Man, I was so scared. It was a Sunday morning. I shared my story of being a recovering alcoholic from the pulpit at the church where I was serving as a pastor, and I was about 3 years sober. And I did so with some help from my sponsor, and we worked through some things and with some trusted mentors in my life. And I remember that feeling, man, if this thing goes south, if this thing falls, we're all going to die. If this thing doesn't turn out well, the people, the congregation, they could turn on me. They could not like me. They could not want me. And y'all know how fear travels quickly through the mind, don't you? Yeah, in like 0.2 seconds, we can go from, if this thing goes south, then I'm going to be out of a job. I'm no longer going to be a pastor. I won't be in ministry. Tammy, my wife, is going to leave me. She's going to want to divorce me, and she's going to, of course, get the house, and then I'm going to be homeless, and I'm not going to have anything to eat. And we laugh, but you know we can get there in about 2 seconds. Is it true? And do y'all know that's not what happened that day? That morning, that Sunday morning, I was greeted with an overwhelming love and support and an abundance of grace. And some of y'all know this story that on that Monday morning, my email box was flooded from the community. People saying, man, I struggle with the bottle too. How'd you put the drink down? Or my mom or dad or brother or sister or aunt or uncle, whoever it is, struggles. What do I say to them? It feels so lonely. And then the next week when I looked out towards people, I thought, oh my goodness, you all are sitting next to each other and you don't even know it because you're in silence. And do y'all know, and this is no exaggeration, that was the thing, that was a pivotal moment in my life, the thing that set things into motion for starting this thing we call Free Spiritual Community. Because you see, sometimes all the disorientation leads you to the reorientation. Sometimes the thing you've been most afraid of, you step into that thing, and that thing actually leads you to the new thing that God is calling you to do, or the new person God is calling you to be. And my brothers and sisters, let me close with this. Because see, there is a great danger in thinking about recovery or your sobriety, thinking you're going to get sober and life is all of a sudden going to be unicorns and rainbows. It's going to be perfect. There's going to be no more hard things because now I'm sober. I thought that. Who else thought that? Life's going to be perfect. Don't buy into that lie. Yeah, hard things are still going to happen. The hard days are still going to be there. The hard doesn't go away. No, we just have new tools to deal with the hard. We just actually have people to walk through the hard with us. But don't be fooled. Don't be discouraged. This is real life, even in recovery. You expect it. Do we have the image? There's that image. Is it true? You expect it to just go like this? Other people expect it, and instead your life, it's got all kinds of squigglies in it, doesn't it? Yeah, see, when life gets squiggly, or as one of my friends says, when life gets lifey, stay connected to people. The hard days are part of the journey. You need to dig your heels into something. Dig your heels into community. Tap in to that trust of the one who can do for you what you could not and cannot do for yourself. And my friends, where are you experiencing reorientation? Remember these moments. Hold on to these moments and tell this story. And by all means, put your recovery first, so that everything you love most, everything that matters most, doesn't come last. Take 60 seconds. Reflect on where is God doing for you what you cannot do for yourself. That podium weighs about 4,000 pounds, and Derek just picks it up and manhandles it, doesn't he? Thank you, Derek. I'm glad to have you be of service and pick up heavy things. I'm waiting for one day he's just going to body slam it. All All right, y'all. Hey, if you're new with us this evening, you need to know that every single week here at Free, we have a guest storyteller who joins me up here in the living room to share some of their experience, strength, and hope around the particular topic that we're discussing tonight. Tonight, of course, it's a life of reorientation, a life of recovery. So my friend, Daniel Hohnstein, is with us tonight. He's just over, almost 9.5 months sober. And I asked him to come up and share some of his story with us tonight. So help me welcome my friend, Daniel. You can do that. That's not awkward at all. Dude, speaking of, I love the pink shirt.
Thanks.
You rock
I've
that thing.
Never gotten more compliments on a shirt before.
You should wear it next week, too.
Thank you, guys.
It does well on you. All right, so you are, we're going to jump into things here. You and Kristen, your wife Kristen, you are part of this community. We're going to get to how you discovered this community because that's kind of a cool story. You are 9.5 months sober.
Praise
And
God.
I did ask you, Kristen, I did ask him, I said, are you okay? Is your wife okay with you bringing in pieces of her story? Because I know it's so much of y'all's story together. And you said she was.
Yep.
So don't get me in trouble. You said she's good with it. How long has Kristen been sober?
She's a month behind me, so.
So 8.5 months. Way to go, Kristen. I'm proud of you. And y'all serve on the home team here. So grateful for that.
Yes.
You're part of this community. So tell us because we have to go through the disorientation to get to the reorientation. Tell us about the disorientation in those earliest days of recovery. You told me that your life was built around this idea of escapism. Tell us about it.
Yeah. So from a young age, I learned how to just run away and kind of escape when things are going south, when shit's going down around you. You find a way to find a closet to hide in, and there was sexual abuse in my childhood that I unfortunately witnessed, and there was just things that you want to hide from. And I learned at an early age that just you can disappear and hide in a corner. And then when I got pretty much graduating high school, I got introduced to smoking weed, and that was a great new way to hide.
Yeah, and we're going to come back to that because I know that's a really important piece of your story. Kristen went into rehab.
Mm-hmm.
You got sober at the same time when she went in.
Yeah,
But
it was kind of a promise. I was like, well, I can't expect you to go to treatment and then me still be home doing my thing, because my thing was smoking, her thing was drinking. And they were two animals that were just feeding each other and going downward spiral. So when she went into treatment, I'm home by myself and promising to stay sober. And so I decided to basically do everything, get a sponsor, go to 90 days. 90 and 90 is what they call it. Go to 90 AA meetings in 90 days.
Yep.
And I liked AA because I felt people were more real and committed to their program in AA.
So tell us what it was like when she got out and the thing that brought you crumbled to the floor in a puddle of mess.
Yeah, she got out, and I think she thought the same that I did, that, it was all going to be good now. We're all going to be this happy-go-lucky family, and, yay, recovery's behind us.
We're sober. It's all good now. No more hard.
Yeah, we graduated. Yay! But it was quite scary. It was a nasty relapse, and she was running, hiding from me. And, it was a Monday morning where I was supposed to be at work on the other side of town, and instead I'm trying to find my wife because she ran away and took off. And I knew she was drinking, and I knew she had relapsed, and I hadn't relapsed, but I was feeling like I just screamed out to God, and I crumbled on the floor and literally sobbed and just cried, God, why aren't you saving my wife? Like, I thought you promised me, that we could do this, and I just couldn't believe that it was all falling apart even after we had supposedly gotten back on track. So it's just like that diagram, it's all
You
over
got the
place.
squiggly lines.
Yeah, the squigglies.
Who doesn't? So, Daniel, I want to get into this a little bit because you said your thing was weed. And I recognize this could be a bit of a controversial topic tonight, and that's totally okay. We ain't want to shy away from controversy. Weed's the thing that brought you to your knees. Weed's the thing that took over your life.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us your experience with that. And I say that because I know here in Colorado, it's legal.
Yeah.
Even in the recovery community, there's some discrepancy around, well, can you smoke weed and still be sober? And tell us your experience with it.
Well, in my experience, it's just as dangerous as alcohol because it, just like a weed grows in a garden and chokes out everything good.
Might want to hold your mic up a little bit more.
Just as weed, can grow in your garden and grow faster than all the other plants and choke out everything, so does, I feel, marijuana. I think it just found its way into every part of my life. And I think the hard part about it is that it makes you not engage people. You really enjoy just secluding and recluding, just leave me alone. I'm just going to go smoke and be by myself.
Yeah, and you said something so powerful the other night. You said anything that distracts me from being the most useful to God is a negative thing in my life.
Yeah, it's, I always felt like when I was high, I was about 20% usable by God and 20% accessible to my family. Because what it came down to in the end is that's all I was focusing on. I was just as it's an obsession of the mind. I couldn't wait to get home to smoke. It wasn't, I can't wait to get home to see my family. I can't wait to hug my loved ones. I can't wait to call my mom and see how she's doing. It's, I can't wait to get high.
So, and was it the disconnect? I can't wait to disconnect. I can't wait to not feel. What was
numb. I just want to not, I did both things, I used it as a reward system. I was so good, I got this job done. I want to smoke and enjoy my weekend. And then it was also, I'm really pissed off at, what happened to me. That person totally cut me off. I need to smoke.
Yeah. I mean, you said, I'm not a weed smoker, but you talk that way. I totally relate to that's how I drink. I mean, on the good days, on the bad days, I couldn't wait to get the drink in me.
Well, yeah, because it gets you to forget about the way you're not dealing with your life. Yeah. I mean, you get to put everything on hold when you abuse something. When you disconnect from God, which is what you're doing when you get high or when you drink, you're basically unplugging to what God is able to do with you and just holding it to yourself. No, I'm good by myself.
I'm good. Okay, so tell us, Daniel, nine and a half months clean and sober. Why do you put your recovery first today?
Because I see so many things hinging on it, and I see the domino effect. There was a time a couple months ago that I had a really crappy week at work, and a lot of things go wrong, and it's funny how it all kind of compiles in your mind at the same time, and you're like, oh, damn it, maybe I'll just give in and smoke. I mean, what's the big deal? It's just weed, it's just, I can give it up again tomorrow. And then I just thought, well, wait a minute. What if my wife's recovery is hinging on me staying sober? What if my son never touching weed again hinges on me staying sober? What if there are people watching me that I don't even know are watching me, and that hinges on me staying sober? What if there's 150 people that I might be able to help, and that hinges on me staying sober?
And what's some of the reorientation you experienced? What things have you seen renewed, restored in your life?
First off, relationships. First off, my relationship with the Lord. I mean, now I can actually wake up in the morning with gratitude. I am filled with so much gratitude. First thing in the morning, I thank Him for what He's done for my wife. thank him for my family. I thank him for my son wanting to be around me and talk to me now, Because he used to say things like, Dad, it's like, sometimes it's like you're there, but you're not there. And I feel like that's what it's like when you're inebriated by anything. If you have any mind-altering substance in you, whether it be a pill, alcohol, or, so I have to be careful with all of that now because I know my mind's already mixed up. My mind's already past the point of no return, basically, like you can escape. And so I have to be careful, And
I love how you put that. It's anything that makes you there, but not really there.
Yeah. Yeah. And so now it's like he can come to me, my son, and talk to me, and he knows I'm all there. And I have like good things to give him. I don't just say, yeah, sounds tough, man. Yeah.
We only laugh because we identify, right?
Totally.
I mean, that's the only reason it's so funny.
And I thought I was being a good dad,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, well, I said it's all good. Okay.
So tell people, I thought this was interesting, Daniel. I never knew the story of how y'all got to Free. How did you find Free? He was telling me the other day that he was certain there had to be a church out there that like focused on recovery, that had an emphasis in recovery. And lo and behold.
Yeah, so in my early recovery, in my first couple weeks, I was just like searching for a sponsor, for a meeting. I was going to Al-Anon meetings. I was going to MA meetings, and I was, Zooming, meetings too, because this was all during the, yeah. So,
Dude, you got sober during COVID. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, I guess
So
so.
I'm just putting that together. Go ahead.
So I just kept asking around, because like I just thought, man, it would be really great if I could find a church or a place that did recovery, but also talked about God. Because I knew, my wife and I have had a relationship with God, but we kind of like forgot about it. And then bringing it up in our church just wasn't really an option. There wasn't a place for that, So I'm like, when she gets out of recovery, I really got to find, and it found me. Like, basically my sponsor gave me a name, and I called, and I was just telling my story to him, and he said, hey, I know a place. This is Ryan Ness. And he just said, hey, go check this place out. You're right there. Thanks, man.
Ryan Ness on our board of directors. Thank you, Ryan.
So that's what it is. So in early recovery, if I could suggest to anybody, just it's about reaching out and not holding back honesty, not holding back willingness to let God do what you can't.
You know what I love about that story, Daniel? When Danny and I last week were shooting the series video about the What We Stand For, we were talking about, and we really went back and forth, what is Free doing? Why did we create Free? And we both landed on, man, in the traditional church setting, what you're just talking about, there's not space created to have this conversation. The conversations we know have to be had with what we're dealing with in society and culturally and what we're dealing with in our community. So that's why this space was created. So it's kind of cool. You found Free, which is why we created it, to have this conversation, dude. That's so awesome.
I'm so happy we found it.
Anything you want to close with, Daniel, as we come to our end? Let me ask you a closing question. Sorry, dude, did I just cut you off? That was, you get to talk, but give me a minute, all right? Just give me a minute. If someone, and like 1,000 people will watch us throughout the week, and then there's, I don't know how many people here, all these people, all you beautiful people.
153.
If someone is struggling through, they're right in the pit of that disorientation, and recovery doesn't feel good, the lines are squiggly right now, what kind of word of hope can you leave them with?
Hang tough and reach out to the right people and eliminate the bad people. Like, you can't continue to do what you've done before and think it's going to keep working. So try new things. Try recovery, but you can't commit to it half-assed. If you're going to do it, this is what I said to my wife, is like, we're doing this all the way. So therefore, I'm doing the 90 and 90, and you're going to do the 90 and 90. And when she came out of rehab, she didn't she didn't want to do it. So she relapsed. I was like, why won't you go to meetings? Well, you can't make anybody go. They got to want. So first off, just be willing to be willing. Like, say, all right, I don't have this. I'm going to give it a shot. Fine. I'll hang out with those weird people.
Weird. Yeah, we're pretty weird. All right, brother. So grateful you came in tonight, Daniel. I'm glad you're here every Saturday night with us. Glad you're part of this community.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your recovery story, man. Not a minute. Thank you, Daniel. All right, y'all, how we, one of the ways we close free down, not close, that sounds awful to say. One of the ways we end our evenings together is just like we did with celebrations. See, we can't ignore the hard stuff. We can't ignore the disorientation. So we do heartaches together. So just like we did with celebrations, you're going to have 3 minutes here in the house and online. We have a prayer team here at Free that prays for y'all throughout the week. I know this community, y'all lift each other up because these burdens, they're too heavy to carry on your own. So we got to walk through this mess together, carry the burdens together. So take 3 minutes. And if you're online, it's, again, your opportunity to get vulnerable, to let people into your life, to let people in who are going to shoot you a word of encouragement, a word of hope, who are going to walk with you. And if you're here in person tonight, we'll do the same thing. Derek will pass around a mic and just give us the burden you're carrying. Let people in on your life. Let's take 3.
Hey, it's Simone again. So the oldest daughter that I was talking about earlier, Riley, who just turned 21, she had an accident on the slopes on Wednesday, and she tore her ACL, her MCL, and her meniscus. So it didn't stop her from going to the bar, but she is going to need some surgery, and she's got a long road ahead. So prayers for her.
3 months ago, my 31-year-old son passed away as a result of a bad combination. And most of you that are parents can imagine what that's like. Struggling with that and feeling guilt over what happened with them.
Can you say your name?
Super.
Hey everybody, Lou here. A lot of you guys know that I coach, and one of my girls, the family of the cramps, her 12-year-old brother had a tumor removed about 6 months ago. And they found out this week that it's aggressively back and it's pretty much dead. They're a great family. He's a great kid. I worked with him before. And so just keep the
My name is Bianca. I'm over 2 years sober, and not only that I have to battle and continue with my sobriety every day, I'm battling postpartum depression. So if you could keep me in your prayers, that'd be helpful.
Bianca, all kinds of prayers and good vibes and good things.
I also want to just lift up, my name's Derek, just lift up those that are struggling. If you need help, and you're feeling alone, you're going through a hard time, this community's here to pick you up. Reach out. I had to reach out to be lifted up, and that's okay. So we pick you all up that are struggling right now.
Thank you, Dee. Maggie, I know y'all are back online with us, but just bear with us for a moment because Maggie's going to share something.
Hi, I'm Maggie. I have a little sister that's pretty suicidal right now. She's not doing good, not in recovery, so thanks.
Prayers for little sis. Thanks for sharing that, Maggie. Who's joining me up here?
I am.
Simone Myers? Let's do this thing.
You're short. And look at me. I came up on the right side, and I'm standing on the
Simone,
left.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I'm
You
learning.
should stick around for pizza and snacks afterwards for the party. Let's do some more heartaches. They'll show up on the screen here. You take the first one.
Brian O'Brien, hey, how are you? Dang, just got diagnosed with dementia. They're talking about assisted living. Pray, this is all one giant mistake. Yeah, praying for you, Brian.
Yeah, man, and I'm so glad you're part of this community, and I see you on here each week, Brian, and man, sending all kinds of prayers and love your way, dude. MJ says, for several friends who have lost loved ones this week. MJ will take that as a big, broad prayer for everyone experiencing loss right now. Thank you for lifting that up.
Terry, prayers for a 10-year-old man of God with strep and COVID right now. Dang, it's the second person that I've heard of that had them both at the same time. That's so horrible.
That sounds awful.
Yeah.
Prayers for this 10-year-old. Dang. Christy says, prayers for healing for my face where they removed a cancer spot, sore but healing. Christy, prayers for you. Thank you for sharing that with us. We're holding you up, girl.
My friend Jerry passed away Monday at almost 52 years sober. Dang. He impacted thousands of recovering alcoholics. Please pray for his wife, children, and grandchildren. Prayers. That is like an amazing life of service right there.
That's holy, sacred stuff right there.
Yeah.
And I saw your picture with him that you posted.
I did
it was
too.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Is that it?
Is that it? Well, let's do one more. Is there one more? No, there's not one more. All right. Thank you, Simone, for joining me up here. Y'all, it's been a good night. It's been a fun night. I love these Saturday nights to spend them with you. Francis, are you reminding me to say something? Let me say it for you. Why don't y'all say it for me? What's the one thing we don't do in this community? On three, shout it out, the whole sentence. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Hold on, let me say this first. We don't do shame. Karis, raise your hand in the back there by the doors. Karis is our guest storyteller next week from Aurora Sober Living. We're going to talk about why we don't do shame. It's going to be great. I hope y'all come. Listen, one of the ways we carry these burdens together is because we're the wagon together. Do y'all know the story of the wagon? It's been a minute. Let me tell you. The story of the wagon, when I was at the LA Rescue Mission in Los Angeles, we were taking a tour, and the executive director took us to the top floor. And on the top floor of this LA Rescue Mission, which is the largest rescue mission around, and he took us to the top floor, and on the top floor is their memorabilia wall. And on the center of this memorabilia wall is a picture of a wagon. And I said, dude, what's that big wagon about? He said, you don't know the story of the wagon? I said, apparently not. You need to tell me. He said, that's how this rescue mission got started back in the late 1800s. This wagon would go out to the roughest parts of LA, and they would distribute things like food, clothing, Bibles, other things. And then at the end of the night, they would welcome anyone who wanted to get on the wagon to jump on. And then they would head back to a place of recovery and connection. Now, what happens when you get a bunch of drunk people on a wagon? Some of them fall off, but on this wagon, when those drunk ones fell off, the sober ones, they would stop the wagon and they would jump off that wagon and pick up the drunk ones and put them back on the wagon because they knew where they were headed, a place of recovery and connection. And when I heard this story, it was just so mind-blowing to me. I thought, man, if we ever do like a new sort of church thing, the wagon is going to be the central image in our community. So I said, I got to get that thing tattooed on my neck. So I got a wagon tattooed on my neck. And we put a wagon out 3 years ago when we started free in our backyard. And we had a wagon. And then we started doing a baptismal wagon. It's outside these doors. You can see the wagon that was custom built. The wagon is a central image of this community because we are the wagon together. And that's what we're about here. One of the ways we are the wagon together, one of the ways we keep this wagon rolling together is seriously, and I can't say thank you enough for your generous giving in this community that keeps this ministry and organization open and keeps it thriving, not just sustaining, but thriving. And so there's giving boxes. There's one here by Derek and Ryan, and there's one outside those doors by Karis. It is your donations that allow us to do what we're doing. So if you feel called to give, and I know for many of you it's sacrificial. It's like a spiritual practice in your life. I think it's a good spiritual practice. Tammy and I do it together. Anyway, if you don't want to give in those jars and you feel called to give, there's 3 ways to give online. The first way is you can simply download the app. It's free. It's a free spiritual community app. You can download it and give there. Or you can go right to the website, freespiritualcommunity.com/give, and you can give there. Or you can text the number on your screen and you can make a donation there. And seriously, y'all, it's what keeps us sustained and thriving, and we are so, so grateful for that here. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, the way we're going to close down here at Free is we close with praying together. Where's Brett? Come on up here, Brett. Wearing his Beavis and Butthead shirt. Yes! Let's give this man a round of applause. Brett, you got your mic on?
Is it on?
Yeah. Hold on. I need to say a few words about Brett first because Brett and I, we talk almost, we talk about every night, don't we?
I try to offend Ryan every day.
He sends me offensive texts sometimes. But Brett said this week, he said, dude, I'm trying to pray more and people make me nervous. And I said, let's get you up here and pray in front of people. That's how we address that mess.
And I can't drop the F-bomb, so I'll try real hard.
Try not to drop any F-bombs.
You know how I don't like to offend people.
I do know this, Brett. Let me say one other word about Brett. If y'all have drank a water here on this free campus, that refrigerator that's got waters in it, well, you are drinking something that was directly delivered from this man. This dude comes in at least once a week carrying his water like this, and he loads up the fridge, never asked to get thanked for it. You just do it, and we're so grateful. I'm not thirsty because of you, Brett.
Sweet, let's do this. I feel like I'm high.
All right, let's pray. Can you take us out in the Lord's Prayer?
Lord's Prayer. That's our Father?
Yeah, that's our Father. It's on, Brett, if things get squirrely on you, it's on the screen. Let's pray.
Pray for me. Okay. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. It's the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen.
Y'all, sometimes big things happen here, and they're the small things, but they're the really, really big things. Thank you, Brett. Listen, my free brothers and sisters, this week, may you go and put your recovery first. May you walk through the disorientation so that you can get to the reorientation. And this week, my free brothers and sisters, may you experience all kinds of grace and peace because God is good. Stay for the after party.